Music gives us a space to think about things, just to sort of like percolate on ideas, consider how we feel about them, speak to other fans even about how we feel about certain messages in songs. My mum and dad always took my interest in music really, really seriously. I became a really big McFly fan. They took me to, I think, 16 plus McFly shows. I was very invested in their chart positions. It must have been October 2005. A McFly single went in at number 3 and I was outraged. At number 1 was Arctic Monkeys. That day I had the radio on and I heard their first single for the first time, and I thought it was the best thing in the world ever and that this was going to be my new fandom. I remember listening to the album for the first time. Straight away, it presented itself as a record that needed to be sat down and listened to in order. There's a really coherent story to it that's kind of about the experience of being a teenager in Sheffield. I was also getting really interested at the time in this kind of idea of social commentary in music, and the band was speaking about topics that other people had maybe skated around or had dismissed as unimportant, but being very honest and open about what it was like to be a working class teenager in the North, because I feel like at that time, and even still to some extent, we don't necessarily get those northern representations very much. I really, really felt the kind of compulsion and the urge to write about them. I remember I had a notebook that started out as a very fanish scrapbooking and slowly over time emerged into mini reviews. For me, it kind of marks the first time I started to think about actually becoming a music journalist. Arctic Monkeys became the first band where I realised how much I cared about lyrics. So often now when I'm interviewing a band or an artist, I always try and make some good time to really get stuck into the lyrical content, because I feel like that's where you dig into some really interesting ideas about politics, about the way we relate to each other, about issues that are important to that person. Music can absolutely change the way you view yourself. It can offer you insights that you don't have. I think we're seeing that especially recently with the way that more artists and more bands now are starting to talk about race in their music, are starting to talk about gender, class, all of these things. That can be a wonderful opportunity to find solace if you see yourself in that music, but also to understanding how other people see the world and how that can help you. There's an artist for every person, and the joy of exploring that and trying to find that person who speaks to you in that way is just the most special thing.